from the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum Showcase in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Music is Funny. Musicians talking to comedians about music and comedy. With your hosts, Waylon Nelson and Jonathan Bright.
I'm still smoking, I'm so high, I keep toking, I'm drunk, but I'm still drinking too.
Welcome back to Music is Funny. I'm Waylon Nelson.
And I'm Jonathan Bright from the Waylon Nelson Band, back with another ridiculous and unnecessary intro, except maybe necessary. Today we got a friend of ours on. He's actually a singer-songwriter. He's done all kinds of stuff. Country hits with big stars from back in the day. Cousin Johnny Knoxville and himself have an XM show that's been on for years and years. We talk about the Outlaw Country Cruise. I'm just going to keep talking through this intro.
Roger Allen Wade. Hey, how are you? You having a good day?
Yes, wonderful. Now better getting to see y'all.
Thanks for doing this with us.
Well, thank you for having me. Truly, this is just a joy.
I miss running into you every few hours.
Yeah, it's a little different once we get back on land. And I'm still recovering, actually. And truly, I hope y'all are back on there next year, because that was just fun. You know, just getting to hang out, what little we got to hang out, because it is so frantic, as you know. But it's just a pleasure to see everybody there for the same reason, just to have fun. And it just amazes me all the time. You get that many people together, a bunch of drinking and carrying on, and I've never seen one moment's trouble. You know, of course, speaking of the Outlaw Cruise, and just everybody's there for the same reason, just to, you know, have fun, make some cool music, and dig on everybody else's music.
I didn't think about that, so we just said it, but with that many people that are hammered in that small a space, I never saw any tense moments at all.
Never.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Wild. It's very refreshing, I think, Jonathan. You get that many folks together. And I think it does boil down to that everybody's there for the same reason, you know, just to dig on what's going on. And it's one of the highlights of our whole year, just getting to see everyone and do that.
Yeah.
And you can get drunk because you don't have to drive.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you can negotiate your way back to your room, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to pull you over or nothing. And, that's the worst thing that happens, a bad hangover. So that's a pretty good deal, I reckon.
I didn't get any bad hangovers.
No, but you did come home with a new gambling addiction that Roger Allen.
Oh.
Did.
Why do you want to bring up old stuff, Jonathan?
They call me Roulette Raylan now.
Yeah. You're winging it, man. And that's all you can do. You know, you just find a number you like and, stick it on black or red or some number you like and get them to spin the wheel. And chances are you're going to go bust, but I mean, you still get to hang out. They deal blackjack so quick, and all the other games are so fast, you don't get a chance to really hang out and, tell jokes and laugh and visit, because they just run you through it so quick. But in roulette, it just takes enough time where you get to kind of hang out. It's a little family reunion and just get to have some fun.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot more fun than the slot machines. I was like, wait a minute, we just push a button and you're like, yeah.
Push it a few times and you're broke.
Game.
He was like, you got to move over to the roulette. I was doing good on the roulette. We moved over to the craps and I was not good at that one.
Yeah, I go to my grandson's my go-to on the craps table, and he's not very good either, but he just loves to play. And evidently he understands the rules better than I do, but I'm pretty much like, I might as well walk in there and just handle my money and get the free drinks. And
yeah,
it's just such a blast, though, just getting to hang out and, visit with everyone. You hope somebody hits anyway, just to stick it to the man.
Exactly.
And okay, so in joke time, where did that, just to explain to everyone, we did kind of a on the boat outlaw Roger Allen Wade kill Tony type of game where
so everybody, you put your name in a hat and you get to go up and tell one joke, and then
but it's like a joke. You don't really write it. I guess some people could have written their jokes,
yeah,
but it was more
jokes,
like
old jokes, whatever you want. Yeah.
And there were 3 judges, and Roger asked me to be one of the judges. Warner was one, and then
the great Warner
attorney,
Hodges, yes. Well, the fake Mojo. Yeah, and of course we'll get into more of that later because we love Mojo so much. We just love to get to aggravate him. We had just a wonderful relationship and heart broke over that. But we're going to that. But joke time, and funny you should ask about that. It's just I had called your Aunt Amy because we were looking for another judge, and it was just like, man, you think Raylene would do it? She said, not only will she do it, she'll kill it. I mean, she does this all the time, and she'll be, and you were, you didn't let her or anybody down. But it's just the thing that we got this Sirius XM show on Outlaw Country, me and my cousin Johnny Knoxville, and we're living proof that they'll give anybody a radio show. I mean, we know nothing, and we've been doing it now. Shoot, we're going on 1,000 shows, I guess.
Wow.
So it's been a period of 10 or 15 years, whenever they first started, and they've been so kind. The great Jeremy Tepper, he watches our back, and we can get away with murder, and we don't know nothing. So we're just trying to fill up space. It's just like, we'll just tell a crappy joke every week, and it can't be a very good joke, or it doesn't really fit the whole thing about joke time. It's got to be, that's something your drunk uncle would tell, or, just, it's got to be so bad. And Knox told me this about your granddad said Willie loves crappy jokes as much as anyone.
Oh, yeah.
And evidently has a good supply of them. But that was the whole genesis of joke time. And it's just sort of taken on a life of its own because, man, y'all know, and Jonathan as well, and really, and you get on there, it ain't about us, man. It's about them. I mean, the folks that come and the folks that are there that, sign our checks, basically, just the folks. And everybody wants to get up and tell a joke. And we've had some really fun times with that. I hope they do it again next year, and I truly hope you guys are back.
Well, you'll have to put in a good word for us because I did send an email to Jeremy Tepper, and he was like, I don't think you'll be on next year. But he was like, maybe in the future. So maybe you can put in a good word.
I think that's our first year. I think there's a bit of a rotation they go through, with the newer acts getting on there.
I understand it, yeah. But if we get enough people asking, maybe he just can't turn us down.
That's a good point.
And
I agree.
Amy and I want to be on the boat together, because we don't get to.
I don't know if the boat can handle that. I mean, that might be the thinking behind that. I don't know. You and Raymond and Amos on the same boat. I don't know about that, but no, I'm all for it. No, I'm going to burn his ear up, and he is the greatest cat ever, and I'm sure he'll see the wisdom of it.
Yeah.
And they're just wonderful folks, and you just lit it up, and I was so proud of you. It's hard to walk in there, like what y'all did, just come up there, and you just got to, stick your heels down and crank it up and go, and you nailed it.
Yeah,
we're too dumb to know any better than to just get what we do.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do. For tell dumb jokes. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll get you out of a lot of hairy situations.
For sure.
Money or jokes, that'll get you out of anything. Okay, so let's start we start every podcast off by asking, what's the first music you remember loving as a kid?
Wow, that
very, very, very first.
Man, I got to start the Gilligan's Island theme song.
Yeah.
That's an honest answer. Some people try and be cool with their first song. It's like, no.
I just love those things, man. They had the Bonanza theme song, and I loved, man, when I was a kid, and this is, I know you probably remember them, but I loved the Monkees.
Oh, yeah.
And they were a made-for-TV band, but I just liked the sound. I wasn't really cool enough for the Beatles or the Stones yet, but I just liked the Monkees and Loretta Lynn. And then I think it was Wednesday night, the Johnny Cash show would come on. You always had somebody cool on there, and we loved them old gospel songs, and they'd always do a little segment with that, and just loved Johnny Cash. Then after that, there was a show called Then Came Bronson. And he was just riding around on a motorcycle in his toboggan, and he would sing a little bit, and I liked his theme song. But that pretty much done it for me, man. And I had all the old records, it was 45s back then. And you'd have all the 45s of, Tommy James and the Shondells and Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. And I really like that question. I don't think any of us think about that enough. You got to get back to what you started on, and it's just sweet to, get back there sometimes.
Yeah. Now, what were your mom and dad listening to? Was your mom and dad around when you were a kid?
Oh, yes. They were, I was very blessed with just most wonderful parents. And Mama loved Johnny Cash. There was nothing else but Johnny Cash as far as Mama was concerned. They loved Tennessee Ernie Ford. Dad he wasn't that into music. I think he was jealous of Johnny Cash because Mama loved him so much.
So did you, at what point did you think about starting to write songs? Like as a youngster, were you thinking, I want to be in a band, or was it later that you even entertained that thought?
Well, it's probably started out early, just writing stuff. My grandmother, she loved poetry. I mean, even, like Emily Dickinson and T.S. Eliot and, just these grand old poets. And so she taught me how to love poetry, and I would try to write it, but most of mine were just basically bad limericks or something, And then I got on up, and I was ended up becoming a father at a very young age. And back then, you did the right thing, which meant they loaded you up as soon as they found out and took you down to the courthouse and got you married. And so they got me a job in this stove factory here in Chattanooga. And I just wasn't very good at it. It was just driving a forklift, and all you had to do was, it's just really simple. But I was like Gomer Pyle joining the Marines, man. I was screwing up every day. Well, then my brother went down here, and he got a job as a milkman, but he didn't want the jobs. But he told me, he said, man, you can make twice the money. It's a lot of hours and everything, but you get to drive a truck. And I always wanted to be a truck driver, man. And so I was like, yeah. So I went down there and told them I was him, and they gave me the job. And I stayed there for 3 or 4 years without a day off, man. I'd work every day, and because them cows give milk every day. And I mean, you got to get it out there. And, but I'd got me a guitar, and I really thought I was getting pretty good, but I still I sound about the same on a broomstick. and I mean, but I just loved it. And I started listening to, records on after, you were talking about those original things. I started just really listening. Silver Tongue Devil knocked me out, the Chris Christopherson album. And, of course, Red-Headed Stranger and Honky Tonk Heroes and Blonde on Blonde, Old Number One by Guy Clark, that sent me sailing. And I thought, man, that sounds like a lot more fun than, slinging this milk at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I just kind of kept at it and ended up, writing a couple of things that happened and kind of gave me a good excuse to get out of being a milkman and to start being a rock and roll star. And just never looked back after that. My first day, my uncle, I'd written a song on one of our albums called The First Time I Saw Waylon. And I was working at the dairy then, being a milkman, but they'd got me tickets to go see Waylon. And man, he just blew the roof off. And that's when I made up my mind. Here's what I'm going to do. And he told my aunt, this is Johnny Knoxville's mom and dad. He told my aunt, he said, that I saw the look in that boy's eyes, and he'll never work another day in his life. He wasn't saying it bragging on me. He was saying it like, man, he's that damn lazy. He done figured out a way out of this. But that just worked for me, man.
That's hysterical. And then you talk about your mom being a huge Johnny Cash fan. Was she alive when you were working with him? Didn't you get a song to Johnny?
Yeah, I was very blessed by that, man. John, Amy knows Rosie, or knew Rosie. Rosie is passed, but Rose, it got me lucked up, and it got me a publishing deal. Like the first time I went to Nashville, this guy was going to take me up there, and you know how that goes. He's going to do a big session and everything. And
what year roughly around is this?
Man, had to be early 80s, Johnson.
Okay. Because I was here then.
Yeah, it was at Porter Wagner's old studio. Roy Shockley was the engineer, and Tom Pick was there. Tom did a lot of great records on Jerry Lee. And I hate name dropping, so I won't go much into that, but they ended up having a great session. But like I say, I just wasn't too good about, singing or guitar playing and everything, but they loved the songs. And so they got a cat named Tommy Rowe from the old, one of my heroes, man.
Dizzy, right?
Yeah, Dizzy and Sweet Pea and Sheila, where they're like, he was going to be recording, he was going to make a country record. And he was like, he wanted to record that. And I was like, Tommy freaking Rowe? I mean, he's one of them Atlanta boys, Yeah. And I was just freaked out. And so I got me that writing deal. They would, just sign me up on the spot and everything. And I didn't know nothing really about, when you asked about the date, it had to be not long after Redheaded Stranger come out and all those things I was telling you about earlier, because that's all I cared about. And they're in there wanting to get, and I ain't knocking nobody, but they're wanting to get like all the cats that were writing there. It was a great lineup. It was like Minner Williams, who wrote Drift Away, and Steve Cropper, the great guitar player. And it was all these cats, and but I didn't want no T.G. Shepherd cuts, man. I didn't care how much it paid. I was like, man, is Guy Clark recording? They're like, who? And I was like, Guy freaking Clark. And, because the guy hadn't even hit yet, But I was such a big fan. That's all I cared about. So I wouldn't, I ended up keeping my job for a while and wound up with some hits. And John and Waylon did a duet, which meant the world to me, because those are two of my all-time heroes. And then Hank Jr. Did one, Tommy Rowe, George Jones, and he did a duet with someone, Barbara Mandrell. And so I had a little thing going there, and I hadn't even been in town.
I was about to say, you were stacking them up for being here not very long.
This happened like in a month or 6 weeks,
You could have retired then.
I should have.
Not monetarily, but yeah.
But I was just like, is this going to be easy, And then things just changed up there. And I still love it for what it is. I mean, if Emmylou Harris lives there, that's enough for me to love it, because I love Emmylou. But the thing changed about where it got really corporate. You couldn't go around knocking on people's doors and just, hey, I got a song and this, that, and the other. Then it just became just, rather than, little corner country stores, it all became a big Walmart to me. Yeah. And so I just figured I'd just stay home, keep writing songs, and wait for Knoxville to hit it big and go from there.
Now, so my grandpa and my dad cut one of your songs.
That's one of my most favorite things that ever happened to me as a songwriter. I'll put that in a whole nother category. Just because, I knew your dad was just the sweetest cat ever. I mean, he had a freaking jackhammer handshake, and he had these beautiful, sad blowtorch eyes, and you just look right through you, but he was just so kind to me. And I really didn't hang out with anybody. Yeah, we'd go up there to a place called Bell Cove. I don't know if that's even still there. But I always run into Billy up there, and he was always nice to me. He'd talk to me when nobody else would, I'd just be wanting to, have a beer and shoot the breeze about guitars or about, music and stuff like that. And he was, without exception, he was always kind and thoughtful to me. And he was a hell of a man.
Yeah.
Here's what I wonder, because...
I just want to ask, so the song, My Body's Just a Suitcase for My Soul, which, my dad's dead and died when I was little. And I always thought it was so cool that he was singing this song and recorded it. It's like one of the only songs I have that I can listen to him sing. And he chose that, it's just weird. I thought it was weird.
I'm very honored. I was...
How did you write the song? I want to know the story behind the song.
Yeah. I had the idea for a while. I came back to Chattanooga and I just go walking every day. I was really deep into Kerouac and Hemingway, Faulkner, Dostoevsky, anything I get my hands on, just trying to read and fill your well with good water. And so, man, I was just walking up to Waffle House one morning and just trying to think about something good to write that day. And this was light years ago. This was even a long time before they cut it. And I would still go back to Nashville on occasion. And my dear friend Mayborn Axton, your granddad knew her well, and she was big. Of course, everybody's a big fan of his, but they had a special relationship, I think, just in that she was there in all them early days and knew how hard it was. But she would let me live. She had this looked like a Gone with the Wind mansion up in Hendersonville. But out behind it, she had this little, a little band house, and Arlo Guthrie would stay there, and Hoyt and some of his guys would stay there, and she would just let me live there for a time. So she was on the song as well. But all my clothes, man, were ripped to shreds because she didn't want me to go out after dark. And there's just this barbed wire fence between me and the bowling alley where you could go over there and drink. And every night, so I'd just sit there and wait for her light to go out. Then I'd sneak out through the fence and go over to the bowling alley and get loaded. But then I have to be up first thing in the morning because she was a taskmaster when it came to writing and everything. But she's on that song, and she was just always nice to me, and I appreciate her kindness.
Yeah.
What?
But
no, go ahead.
No, but that song just means the world to me because of how kind Billy was, always just so nice. And of course, there ain't a songwriter anywhere in the world that doesn't want. Willie just sings, you can just hear him. But I still consider it a Willie Nelson cut, brother. I mean, and a Billy Nelson cut. I mean, that's why it just means so much to me.
Willie Nelson Jr. So was there really a blind man singing the blues? No, that's just kind of
well, to be fair, there's been a lot of blind men singing the blues. Yeah.
They were just trying to create create some drama and get an image of a good storyline going. And like Jonathan says, it probably happened somewhere, but not while it was being written.
Oh, you laid out skin as war as leather.
Yeah, I like that line a lot.
Keys, like it seemed like it was a person.
You can tell that you were a reader because of you got a bunch of hillbilly shit that's hilarious and stuff. But when your songs are written, that you can tell you're a literate person writing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. I truly appreciate you seeing that. And the old thing, like the skin like wire as leather. My brother owned a pool hall, and it's like Jonathan was saying, maybe it didn't happen at that moment, but I'd seen those cats that were probably in that situation at some time, and no, and I'd truly adore writing songs, but I don't want to sit around in beige cubicles writing on a clock. And man, I like to write on the run and write. There's plenty of songs in the world. Don't bring bad songs in the world. Write the best ones you can. And from reading, and I call it filling your well with good water. I mean, you have access to the greatest minds that ever existed when you're reading, great literature. And a lot of it's not going to be, pop hits or something, but hell, there's only 10 folks in the top 10, so you got to find a way to make a living outside of them 10 people, And a lot of people do that, but I think if you're going to do it, if you're going to do it your way, do it your way. And that, you pay a price for that of, you're not, singing halftime at the Super Bowl, but, you get to, sing the songs you want to play and how you want to play them. I catch a lot of grief. Again, I don't think I'll ever be mistaken for Sinatra or Pavarotti or anyone, but I just try to make a joyful noise and enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's wild how much that generation of country writers and whatnot, and even Nashville, resemble the early punk rock scene. It's like everybody just like, fuck that. I'm going to do exactly what I want. I'm going to do it on my own terms. And these guys, you guys, were doing that long before the punk rock dudes were doing it.
Well, they had already, the cats I think you're talking about, Jonathan, you know, like Willie, Waylon. I love Graham Parsons, and I think Bob Dylan probably had more to do with that than he's given credit for. Johnny Cash and Guy Clark and John Prine. Lucinda came along later, and Emmy Lou had a lot to do with supporting those things. Rodney Crowell, and you know, I hope they understand how much it meant to people like me that were just, I mean, just loved the music. You didn't really fit into anybody's business model or, you know, anybody's big plan for, you know, rocket to stardom. But and Chris Christopherson did, you know, he meant the world to me that way. But it kind of gave you the freedom to just, at least so the folks back home didn't think you were completely insane and be like, oh, you're just wasting your time, you know. It's like, no, man, these cats did it. Cats I really admired. I really didn't care that much about what anybody else was doing. It all came down to about those 5, 6, 7 cats and those are the guys that I still dig. I mean, I don't really, my grandson Roland Dixon's doing some really cool stuff. Ray Lynn's doing some really cool stuff. And I love to see, you know, people coming along doing that. I love, man, you know, on the boat was Laid Back Country Picker.
Oh, yeah.
That guy knocked me out, man. He's the sweetest cat in the world, Warner Hodges. I love that guy.
Yeah, I've known Warner for years.
Man, he's just a champ. Nick Jamerson, I don't know if you know Nick. He had a thing called Sunday's Best. That a lot of them cats come out of Eastern Kentucky, but Goose Creek Symphony, I love Goose Creek, but those guys are the ones that kind of made it, you know, it seemed doable. Like they did so much that it's hard to really make it. You know, it sounds like you're trying to glamorize it, or sounds like you're trying to kiss their ass. But I'm saying it because, man, that's the only reason I got to do it, was because of those cats.
Trailblazing, yeah.
What about a Mojo story? You got a good Mojo Nixon story?
Oh, yes. I love Mojo. I miss him every day. We had a wonderful feud going, and it started on the boat. You know how they make you go down there and sign autographs and stuff? Well, it is getting kind of boring, and you know, you got that little placard in front of you with your name on it, and so we're just sitting there. So I was like, man, this ain't no fun. We at least make it fun. And so we turned the placard inside out, and it'd be like, register here to win Mojo Nixon's car. And so Mojo is just like one booth down. He can't see all this going on, and he can't even really hear us. But it's like everybody that comes up wanting an autograph is, yeah, please go down. Just tell Mojo you're registered to win his car. And he'll pay for all your drinks on the boat while you're here. And that was actually the prize for winning Joke Time. We had told them, just when you see Mojo Nixon, everybody that's got up to tell a joke, just tell him you were on Joke Time, and he will buy your drinks. And then we started giving his car away. He was just madder than hell. And so we're up there doing a show down there at that same little room where we did Joke Time. And so we're up on stage just getting it, you know. And here comes Mojo's right-hand man, old Bullethead, and I love Bullethead. But Bullethead comes up there and slaps a genuine cease and desist order on me. I mean, he had it filled out to the nines. It's just like, yeah, Mojo's tired of this. Of course, he was joking, too, and Mojo was. But nobody else knew it. You know, it was a great wrestling feud.
Oh,
And that we carried on with it. He went, the last time I saw him, we were just out on the smoking deck, and here come Mojo walking by just a couple of hours before he died. And he is, we're going to hook up collar and elbow and wrestle a little bit. And we were just laughing. He got, you son of a bitch, you. He said, I ain't said your name on the air for a solid year. And I went, well, what are you talking about? Because he's got to promote our show, you know.
Right.
Next up, Big Ass Happy Family Jubilee with Johnny Knoxville. and me. And so, but he would just go, yeah, big ass happy family jubilee with Johnny Knoxville and what's his name? And he did it for a year just to piss me off. And I thought it was hilarious, and he did too. And then, we just had a good laugh, and I actually kissed him on the cheek. He gave me a big old hug, and then he walked off, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great show. What a great last show he put on.
Man, that's what I heard, Jonathan. Then he actually told us out there while we were just, after we got through goofing off, it's just like, man, is everything going all right? He just, man, last night is my favorite show I ever done. If I never do another show again in my life, I'm happy.
Oh, wow.
And everybody I talked to, man, said he just knocked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were out there. It sounded great.
He was throwing down. It was great.
Railing through stuff?
Yeah.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
I was throwing my body on the stage.
I'll tell Aunt Amy on you.
No, don't tell Amy. That's mine, and I'm gonna steal you, and you're gone, and we're gonna have our own show called "Don't Tell Amy."
Yeah.
Just block her on. Yes. I got a question, or maybe two. Like, so you started writing those songs you were writing. Now you're one of the few people that can write a humorous song that I will, not a joke song, but a funny song that I can listen to over and over again. There are very, very few people that fit. Like Amy and Kathy can do it. Dan Reeder. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Reeder, but if not, I gotta send you some stuff.
Please do, Jonathan. I love
this guy. He said,
go ahead, tell it. Like he builds. Yeah,
he was born in California somewhere, but he moved to Germany years and years ago. Made his first record. John Prine's label put his first record out, but he built the computer that he recorded it on, built the microphones that he recorded it on, and built the guitars and ukuleles and all this shit. And then he stacks his vocals like 3 or 4. It's gonna knock you out. We'll send you stuff that you're gonna love it.
Oh, tell me his name again, and send me whatever you can. Dan Reeder.
Reeder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
He's one of my favorites. But getting back to what I was saying is, at what point did you figure out that you could write stuff that is fun? I mean, because you're trying to get cuts, and some of that stuff you're writing, you have to be thinking, yeah, this is I gotta be. I can't be pitching this to anybody.
Some of those nearly got me fired, Jonathan. but it was like only reason I ever started writing them, like I just call just them crazy songs, is I would get stuck. And, I'd be trying to write, my first novel, or I was going to be, write the greatest song ever and the deepest song ever. And I'd get stuck, and I'd be like, well, you got to keep your wheels greased, And so I would just write those silly ones just to keep, my juices up, and just to, kind of just to be doing something, because I'd get stuck on the other stuff. And I wouldn't know what to do. And I thought, well, I got to do something. I can't just, if you don't use it, you lose it. And it's just like, okay, I'll write these. And then one of the songs that's been best to us, our family and everything, was written the same way. It's called, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, I feel like that's covered as much as crazy at this point.
I mean, a lot of my friends have done it, and they use it in all the Jackass stuff and everything. And so I never knew what I was going to do with it. I was just, playing it in bars and everything. Well, then Knox fools around, and they hit wide open, and they're looking for a theme song. And he'd heard me play it a bunch, and he was like, nah, that should be the song, And it's really, they've had, like, one of my other heroes, the great Karen O, recorded it. With the Yeah Yeahs, yep. And I think DJ Paul and Yellow Wolf just did the latest version of it, and then there were some other really cool versions. The Smut Peddlers did a great version, and just been very, very blessed with that. But that came out of that same thing that you were asking about. I was just like, killing time and trying to get back on to writing, like things that I really dig, things that matter to me.
Right.
And Not that these don't, man. As long as the check clears, it matters. But it's like I was just doing it, just trying to stay in shape, and got very fortunate that them things caught on, and I still shake my head over that. Thank God for nepotism. If it hadn't been for Knox.
While we're talking about funny shit, we've had tons of professional comedians on the podcast. Where do you get your sense of like? What's the first comedian you remember?
First comedian you remember loving as a kid, or
funny, or actor, or comedic, anything.
And I, by no means. I mean, I truly respect. Like, I mean, before I get to answer that, like cats like Norm Macdonald or somebody that can stand up there, for 30 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever. Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, all these cats that can really do it. We're just wisecrackers, but dude, what really got me, I love Green Acres. I don't know if you ever watched Green Acres. And the Andy Griffith Show. Funniest man I ever met was my uncle, Phil Clapp, Knoxville's dad, was absolutely the most, had just every dynamic of comedy with timing, expressions, and material. I mean, I love Don Rickles. He was like Don Rickles. And I like Tim Conway and Carol Burnett a lot. And I think Bob Dylan is amazingly funny.
I agree. I feel like the older he's gotten, he's doing pro wrestling in the press. Like since the 90s when he did that ad where what was the lingerie ad? I can't remember. But I was like, everybody was up in arms. I'm like, he's fucking with people, man.
Yeah, he's just totally screwing with everybody.
Yeah.
They'd be like, what's on Bob's mind? And Bob, remember one time, and he does a great interview, Jonathan. It was when he was, I don't know, he's just a kid. And he'd just come to New York, and some guy was interviewing him, and he started pulling that on him. He was, the guy was like, where are you from? Yeah, I'm from Gallup, New Mexico. I took up with some carnies, and I don't really know where I was born. And he was just running this wonderful game on the guy. It was just hilarious because the guy was, you could see him scratching his chin being, that's interesting. And Bob's just totally bullshitting him.
And that's back when everybody thought he was God back then,
yeah.
Shaman or something.
This was right before he hit, really.
Right.
And so I guess that's part of how he created that image. But I'll tell you who else I think is just funny as hell is Jeffrey Ross. That guy just kills me. I mean, he's just merciless, but what kills me is he can take it too. He can dish it out, but he can still take it. And Johnny Knoxville is one of the most naturally funny cats ever. I mean, he's just a genius. He'll underplay it. And old country comedian that we used to listen to that his dad would go see all the time.
I know what he's going to say, I bet.
Freddie Smith?
No, I was going to say Jerry Clower.
Oh, no, I love Jerry Clower too, but Freddie Smith, he was just playing these tourist traps up there in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, but he was just hilarious. He would be like, boy, there's a lot of us growing up, and he'd just have them sucked in, and he said, yeah, Mama named the last four of us Adolf, Rudolph, get off and stay off. I mean, it was just old corny jokes like that that were just they were just brilliant. We would, I don't know if y'all remember, but there used to be, and maybe it's getting that way again. And I love this. When something cool was going down, people would just pass around tapes, just like, man, you got to hear this, you got to hear this, and it'd just be somebody like that was just totally original, and that wasn't out on some big label or nothing. It was just everybody thought it was fun and cool, especially pickers and writers, and you didn't have no other anybody to really hang out with, and you get to passing those things around. And I just thought they were just really, really funny.
Yeah, I don't know if we had like 2 or 3 comedians worth of cassette tapes from my old first band of like, you buy them in a truck stop. You have no idea what it is, but you just grab it and listen to it. Every now and then you get some gems in there.
Oh yeah. It's worth sorting through it, to find the real gold in there, because because people everywhere are funny. I mean,
yeah,
just like being around funny people, you got to have something to laugh about. And I've never considered myself a comedian by any means, and don't even, me and Knox, when we're doing our show, we're just cutting up bullshit, and that gives us 30 minutes every week. We get to hang out because we love each other so much, and then we just end up, bullshitting each other and telling tall tales, and it just turns into that. But as far as knowing anything about comedy, it's just all I know about it is that anything that makes folks laugh.
Yeah, and I think country music more than any other genre forever, like especially the old school, like Dolly and all, they always had jokes. It was in between songs, always.
Oh yeah, that was just part of it. They would actually have a lot of times they'd have the band, they'd have the lead guy, and then they'd have the girl singer, then they'd have the comic. Right. It's just a quintessential country comic. And that's just the way the show was set up. And Dolly's got a wonderful sense of humor and just an electric mind.
Yeah. And little Jimmy Dickens, didn't he do comedy at the office?
Oh, yeah. A lot. He did a lot of funny songs, too. I mean, he was a contemporary of Hank Williams, and Hank, from the stories I've heard, just called him Tater. And, that was kind of his little muse. But Jimmy Dickens would do all these, take an old cold tater and wait and out behind the barn. And like Jonathan was saying, country music just kind of, that was just, it was folks getting together on the front porch or picnic table or somewhere. Somebody's going to be cracking jokes. Somebody's going to sing a funny song. Of course, then you get to the tear jerkers and all the murder songs and the gospel songs and everything. But so it wasn't one dimensional, but humor and just, toe tapping, laughing was a big part of it for sure.
Did you ever want to gig when you were writing songs? Did you ever think about gigging, or were you, or was it just like, I just want to write songs for other people?
Oh, no, man. It was boot camp back then, Jonathan. It was, 6-7 nights a week, 6 or 7 hours a night at these joints down on Brainerd Road here in Chattanooga. One in particular called Bud's. And if you lost them for a second, you might get fired the next day. And you had to go on about 7 o'clock and play till midnight or later, 1 or 2, and whenever, the last customer passed out. And you had to keep them engaged the whole time. And that was, just, I remember I'd be like, but if I was losing them for a second, because there's always bits of bikers and tush hogs and everybody, wanted to be a badass. And, if I felt like I was losing them, I'd be going, I can whip anybody in here. And then you got their attention immediately. But it was that way 6-7 nights a week. Every now and then you get a night off, but for years. And that's where it came from. At the time, it was just, man, it's just exhausting, drive you crazy. But now, it makes you feel like you can get away with about anything. It's like, damn, whatever you're up against today ain't gonna be nothing like them, 5, 6, 7 hour nights and them honky tonks. And, having to keep them every moment. If you felt like if you lost them for just a verse of a song or a phrase of a song, it was over with. They'd find somebody else.
And that probably experience lends to you being able to, because a lot of your records, it's just a guitar and your voice. And it's like listening to a dude standing up there playing guitar and singing, So you probably learned a lot about how to cull things down to the most, the simplest things to keep people's attention, just through hours and hours of banging your head against the wall at the local pub.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it was the old pub, and it was like I'd had some sessions we did in Nashville, man, that were really grand, one particular session that I'll just mention just to kind of express, like, they were trying to turn me into this, radio star. And they had John Jorgensen and Kenny Aronoff and a bunch of their pals, came in and to do it. And that level of players, and we had a great session. And I'd written all the songs and I liked them. But I didn't get to do it. I didn't get to play on it. They just told me that you're basically stand over there. When we point, you start singing. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, I didn't get into it for this. And I've still got the tracks, and they're wonderful. And I still would love to go back, and what I would do is take stuff out, strip it down. But the whole thing, I was so excited about it because, I'd never had nothing really go my way. I got some songs recorded, but Knox had moved out to L.A. He hadn't even hit big yet. And he was just doing commercials and stuff, but I went out there just to hang with him, and I took that session with me, and I was so excited about it. And so we put it on to play it, and I couldn't wait to see, what. But he was not the least bit impressed by all that name dropping I was doing. He was just like, they're covering you up because I can't even effing hear you. When he said, I'm getting ready to do a big deal here. When we do it, we're going to do it our way. And that was when it came into, we had our dear friend Dan Creech that engineered these things and produced them with Knox. And it was just like, he just wouldn't have anybody on there. Mike Judge had sent me a thing one time where Mike was just putting, and I love Mike Judge. I think he's one of the most brilliant comics and just whatever that goes with being funny and creative. Mike Judge is at the top of the heap. But I'm sitting around back in Chattanooga after being crushed by, Knox telling me, it sucks, we're going to do it another way. And so Mike had, he'd got, I think Knox had sent him some tracks we were working on, which is, they ain't a lot of work, it's just me and a guitar. And so Mike is a great steel guitar player and stand-up bass player. So he's putting this really cool stuff on there, and I'm thinking, man, this is awesome. I wonder if Knox has heard it, because he and Knox are best of friends. So I sent it to Knox, and we're not covering you up, cuz I love Mike, but we're just not going to cover you up, because he was still so angry at that whole Nashville. I don't blame it all on Nashville, but just like overproduction.
That's a Nashville thing. It hasn't changed. It's always been that way. They take you in and like, we love you. We love what you do. And then you get in the studio and like, here's how you're going to do what you do to our machine. I don't think that's ever changed.
You've been reading my mail, brother. It's like, and it's just like, you think that, oh yes, we love you. We love exactly what you do. And then you get in there and it's just like, no, you just stand over here. We're not going to need you for a while.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was my music. They called me in there, man. I had a big ass deal going with Mike Curb Records.
Yep.
And so I was going to go in, and I had a meeting one morning, and I hate meetings. Most of them turn out to be nothing. You don't ever accomplish anything. And so I'm like, okay, I'm here. What are we going to do? Well, we're here to talk about your album cover. It's like, what? I need to talk to anybody about my album cover. If it's my album cover, it was something that stupid and that simple, but they don't even really want you in the process of that. It's just like, I had chew on a straw and put up a couple of hay bales and a split rail fence and, just call it, hey, here's Raj or something. And that didn't turn out well, but it's just like, and it came out of their mouths, we're here to talk about your album cover. Well, it's my album cover. Why do I need to talk to anybody about it?
Yeah, I got a buddy who makes huge records in town and works within all these people and others. But he basically, his thing is like, look, man, labels are very good at replicating things. They're not discovering anything. They're not inventing new things. They can replicate all day long. And he's bitching about it because he's in the replication business. It's sometimes, pays the bills, but they find something that works and then they try to find 10, 15 other things that are exactly the same.
Well, I've never heard it put better. And I just think I don't think it's healthy for creativity in the music. Maybe it is in the fact that sooner or later something will bust through, but I think a lot gets left in the dumpsters and trash bins and back alleys. Just people just that just the cats that you knew that'd be like, man, that guy, I'd buy his record, or that guy could be a star, And I was never one of those, and I never wanted to be, but I did. I've been very blessed to make a living at it, and I guess that's about all you can ask. But I just didn't ever like getting told what to do or getting pushed around.
Yeah. Exactly. Making a living is in the top 2% of all musicians anyway. You know what I mean?
Truly. There's a lot to be thankful for there. And that's what I'm saying, too. And y'all don't never forget this. Don't ever get hypnotized by it about, oh, you got to be in the top 10. You got to be number one. There's only 10 people in the top 10 in the whole wide world. There's only 25 in the top 25 in the whole wide world. I mean, you just find your niche outside of that, you know, and nourish that. The folks that'll come see you and they'll stick with you. I mean, they're not going to be gone the first time the trends change. I mean, they're going to be with you forever. And that's the kind of folks you want, but, you know, listening to your work and, you know, come see you play. I mean, the cats that are going to be there.
Amen.
Yep. Well, that's a
pretty good thing to end on.
I know, it's a pretty good ending. Yeah,
Yep.
It's
Am
time.
I getting fired? Are you,
No.
is Raymond canning me?
You know what? I got to ask something. This didn't really have to do with the podcast, but did you play a new song on the cruise? And it was name checking. Now, I was far from sober at the time when I was listening to it, but it was name checking authors or philosophers or.
Oh man, I think you're thinking. It's called "Fighting for the Sweetness."
Yes.
And it's like this long night on the streets of Paris with. I just threw all these characters in there. It's like it's my ripoff of Bob Dylan's "Desolation Row" kind of, because I love Ernest Hemingway, so you're hanging out with Hemingway and Kerouac and Django Reinhardt and Hank Williams and I can't remember who else is in there, but it's basically just, you know, it's telling everybody be yourself, and just keep fighting for the sweetness, man. And that's all they were doing. And I appreciate you remembering that.
I do. Is that, have you recorded that? Because I need a copy.
No, it's never been on an album. I'll send you just a rough version of it. There might be a version on YouTube, and I'll look that up. If you'll send me the thing that you're telling me about, Dan.
I sent you a Spotify. Are you on Spotify?
Yes.
Okay, I sent you the Dan Reader Spotify link, so we already got that.
Okay, bingo.
Well,
Is Raymond's canning me?
No. Well, we usually end with a Papa Willie story, but I feel like you talked about Papa Willie a lot, you know? Like, do you have a famous Papa Willie story? Or a favorite? Not famous.
He and your dad doing the body suitcase for my soul.
Yeah.
We were in Knoxville, and your Aunt Amy, this is one of my favorite things in my life. Aunt Amy invited me on stage to sing the gospel finale with your granddad. And one time, I was at this, it was just like a really legendary party. It was at Waylon and Jesse's house, and John had gotten out of Betty Ford, and so he wanted Waylon to throw him a party, you know, for getting clean and everything. And so we all rode over there and, you know, went up and, you know, kind of hanging out, and everybody's introducing each other to each other. And there's this grand old Southern politician named John J. Hooker, who ran for governor of Tennessee and owner of some, I don't know if it's Kentucky Fried Chicken or something, but he was
Just think Boss Hog.
Yeah. I mean, he had on the linen suit and the Boss Hog hat, and he was in there. And so I'm just kind of standing there, you know, like just some hayseed that just blew in, which I was. But I'm standing there because all I wanted to meet was Willie and Chris. I'd met Chris on the way in, so once I met Willie, I was going to hightail it because I'd never met him before. And so he's standing there, he's bent over, and he's playing with who I later found out was Shooter. He just monkeying with this little kid, and it's Shooter. And it was Jessie introducing everyone to everyone, and she's like, now, Willie, I want you to meet, have you met John J. Hooker? Well, he stands up and he turns around to meet the great John J. Hooker, and he's got on these little goggles with windshield wipers going back and forth, and he never blinked or nothing. I couldn't tell if he did or not because the windshield wipers just going back and forth. He goes, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. And he just turns back around and starts playing with Shooter again. And this guy was one of the most powerful men in Tennessee politics at the time, even. And it didn't even, you know, it didn't faze him. He just turned around and said, yeah, pleasure to meet you. And then windshield wipers are going, chick, 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 chick.
That's a great story.
But it was just so real. I still think about that when I get nervous about having to meet someone. It'd be like, man, I remember when Willie, he didn't give a shit. He was treating everybody like everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
There you go.
Dude, thanks, Roger Allen Wade, for doing this with us.
Send me that song. What you need to do is just come to Nashville one afternoon and record that song. I got a studio. We record all our stuff there. We'll put it down.
Man, that wouldn't be hard to talk me into that, my brother.
That's what you need to do. And then we'll pile all kinds of shit on it.
Just to piss Knox off.
Exactly. We'll put strings, we'll put tubas, all that shit.
Who's that piccolo player?
No, you should. It's an open invitation if you want to come record.
Well, and I'm going to take you up on that, and y'all are always welcome here. There's some cool little places to play around here, and they would love you. And so anytime you want to come through here,
we need to do a gig with him up there in Chattanooga.
Yeah,
that'd be a blast.
For sure.
And you got somewhere to stay, and you got, cool places to play. So anytime, all you got to do is hit me up and consider it done.
Yeah. Every time we go to Chattanooga, we're like, I mean, this is a pretty great place to live.
I could live in Chattanooga. I like this place.
You would love it. I'm serious. You truly love it.
Yeah. All right, Roger. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing it.
Hey, I love you guys, and you made my day, and thank you. Just thanks for being so nice and
go
keep
get
kicking
some rest.
them right square in the ass.
There you go. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, man.
Yeah.
I love y'all.
Love you
too, buddy.
Roger Allen Wade is my favorite songwriter.
I love Roger Allen Wade. We had a blast with him on the cruise. We need to get him down to record. We need to get up there and play.
He needs to get us back on the cruise.
He needs to get us back on the cruise.
How do you say no to Roger Allen Wade, Jeremy Tepper? How do you say no to Amy Nelson? Come on.
You don't. You don't, Jeremy. Enjoy your groceries.
Don't be an asshole.
I know your mama's name.
Did we cheers yet?
Enjoy your cigarettes.
That was great. We nailed it.